today we're going to get ready to plant some hemp. What you see here is four of my favorite tools. Each one has a unique purpose. This here is called a picaroon. For jobs like this, I use the modern one, but this particular tool is very, very old, very well designed, and not sure where it originated, but I think it's called a picaroon. It's just really useful, surprisingly useful. And some tools that I've had that are probably older than me. But what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the straw bale gardening and the different things we're trying to do and plant some hemp. So a quick walkthrough, bring you up to date. A couple different methods. We got square cubes. We've got the composting straw bales from last year, just the normal stuff that sits out. I tried putting fabric on earlier in the year, that black fabric, and although it looks really impressive, it doesn't do anything. Maybe someone, obviously someone would disagree with that, but I think it wasn't really worth the money. And as a ground cover, this straw right here would have been just as good, and looks a lot better too. It doesn't get blown away. A big storm comes up and you've got this pulling at your plants. Then next to it is the round bales. Going into week 2 of this. Not sure if that's going to be ready for my potatoes or not. The idea is to put the nitrogen in the top, allow that to start working, hopefully get the potatoes in time, which of course around the farm it always seems like just didn't get it done in time. And then I'm going to flip that bale at the end of the year to get potatoes out of it. Just wondering if that would help out and make it easier for everyone with just about that much space to have a quantity of potatoes for this upcoming winter. So what's next is to just give you an update on what the plants look like. That's a sign for our hemp, but we actually do a lot of vegetables in the same spot. The tomatoes seem to be doing really well. I put these straw bales in about maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, and waited for them to kind of work their way through using just natural fertilizers down here, just chicken poo and all that other stuff. But what's going to be a little bit different is with these tomato plants, I've got the holes dug to put more plants in, some more peppers. But today for the hemp, what we're going to do is a different method to where, remember those topsy-turvy tomato looked like a gimmick, but actually worked? Well, what we're going to do is take these straw bales that are sitting on the compost of the straw bales from the last 2 years, and because of all these weeds here, if I was to lay these straw bales down, not only will the straw bales kill that, but it'll absorb that as a nitrogen. So you kind of get a good benefit just by taking out the weeds, not only for your plants, for ground cover and weed elimination, but for the nutrients from the mulching and compost actually. But to plant hemp plants here, I've got very bad soil. Usually it's really sandy. Obviously the straw is helping out a lot in the biochar. But what I'm going to try to do is, because the straw bale is actually sitting on the compost from 2 years ago, I'm simply going to flip the bale over and plant into that mulch pile there. When I do that, this plant here will have this ground here to grow into. And then these tomato plants that just got dumped over will be forced to grow straight up, kind of like the topsy-turvy idea. Then I'll leave this bale come down here, and of course every year I make the same mistake. These plants look so small, I should give them more room, but now you can kind of see this is a really hot day, maybe 88 degrees, super dry. But underneath these straw bales, if you look, that's just, look at that. The water's just dripping out of there. So I'm going to take this soil right here and plant directly into that. So this is kind of all new to me, but just a concept of, you know, something that would work for the urban gardener as well. But look how much water's in there. You can actually see it in there. Now keeping in mind, 3 or 4 steps over, you got this, okay? And then what I'm going to be planting into is this. I mean, look at how much water's in there. Okay. So the other idea, as I get further down into this, is I will be planting into these sections right here. But we'll get to that later. So the way the design is going to work is there'll be 2 vegetables growing out the side of the straw bale there. There'll be vegetables on either side of the hemp. The straw bale here will eliminate a lot of the weeds, and of course it will be able to kill off some of that grass on the other side, keeping the weeds down. So we'll just go down here and go down one more. See these tomato plants like this, and I'll put the drip hose back on when I'm done. But then I'll flip this over and look at that. That is just beautiful. That's that white right there. I forgot the name of it, but it's really good stuff. So you can see from the bottom of this of what I'll be growing into. That. And then especially the soil. The soil is, I mean, I can put my hand like that. Oh yes, it's wet. You might not be able to hear it. I mean, you should be able to hear it. But it's just going to be a real interesting grow. So 2 tomato plants over there, and then here on the ground will be 1 hemp plant bordered here and here. I'll end up taking this bale and either leaving it like that to enclose around the hemp plant, or I'll cut that and just make a mulch pile using that straw. But either way, all that will be reused, nothing will be wasted. So what I'll do over here is skip one. Once again, this is what the plants look like, you know, from there to there. I skip one straw bale, and I'll come back about every week and do a video like this. Like this one looks pretty peaked, and something like that. If I've got a stronger looking tomato plant, I just pull them out. This isn't Disney. If they don't look like they're going to make it, they usually don't. So there you go. This is what you get into as soon as you toss that bale over. I'm not an expert at it, but this type of growth here, mushrooms, would indicate a certain type of soil. And I mean, you can see the type of soil it's in. There's just water squirting out of there. And again, if you could just see how easy this is, you know, and this white, I forgot the name of that, but check this out here. I mean, there's so much water is being retained. Look at that, so much water. So I'll do that, and I'll be putting hemp plants into there. Once again, 2 tomato plants on either side. Hemp plant here. I'll pull these weeds, or I'll mulch them with more straw. And I'll do that all the way down to the far end. So check back in about a week. I will have an update. The tomatoes look like they're taking off. And one more time, on each one of these bales, I'll put 2 tomatoes on the top, on what they call the cut side. And then on the bottom here, I won't be doing anything with that. That's just going to be part of the boxing of the mulch that goes into the hemp plant here. So you've seen how much water is just the difference. I wish you could just, you know, see this stand, and you know, it's just, when the wind blows, it's just terrible out here. But right in these areas, the straw bale process is really starting to reclaim and give some of these different type of plants and animals and creatures actually a chance to live. I've seen snapping turtles out here next to my drip lines, frogs, rattlesnakes, blue racers. It's just something about this straw in this environment just attracts the wildlife, or the small wildlife. So thank you for checking in. Check back in about a week, and we'll see what it looks like.